Hi everyone, I'm Grottos and welcome back to episode 6 of the best way to start your game in Satisfactory. Today I'm going to show you how I made this modular iron factory and how we can expand it later on. And yeah, I moved everything out of this main area. It's now down over there, the hub, the sink. I got the blueprint designer. I ended up unlocking all our milestones in tiers 3 and 4 because I did have all the stuff we needed. Over there, I moved our biomass setup, and I'll give you a look at that really quick. So let's go ahead, jump in and get started. Alright, so here's our power setup. So we have our coal over here, which is what we did the last time. And over in here, I just set up our biomass. So we have some backup power in case we ever need it. And that's just kind of in standby. But yeah, here's our coal. That's working fine. So let's go ahead and get back to building that modular factory. So in return, I needed the blueprint maker, which is in tier 4. And we were making all the parts that we needed to get through, to get all the milestones we needed in tiers 3 and 4. So I just went off camera and I just submitted everything we needed. So this is done, and we're going to be setting up a space elevator now that we have a big factory and we'll be able to make all the parts. So here is our hub setup. I have the hub here. I have our MAM and our equipment workshop over here. I have the store and the sink, and this is just our duplicator for our power slugs and DNA. And I set up a blueprint maker over here. So let's go ahead and get into the blueprint maker. So I'm going to load the first floor of our factory, which is our plate setup. I'm going to go into photo mode just because it's easier to look at. And you can see our setup here. Basically, it's just smelters going into constructors. The smelters for iron, let me get rid of the thing there. That's better. The smelters do 30. The constructors do the plates at 30, so it's even. So every smelter would match every constructor. So that's how you know. Now the belts only hold 270. I have the miners set around 300. The only reason I do that is because I don't care if the belts are a little slow. My factory is up and running, it's just going. I don't really have to think about it. And later on, when I'm able to up the belts to Mark 4, I will have 480, and then I'll be able to up my miners even more and get that 480 going, and we can expand our factory later on. But for now, the even amount works perfectly. This is just a manifold setup. So I have all the ore going in, getting smelted, going down the line, and then eventually when I get to the end point, I turn it into that side and it works perfectly. I'll show you that point when I get into the factory, but I also color coded everything. So this is plates, so I made it kind of a silver color, and that worked in just a preset. Let me just show you. We go into here and we go into colors. I just used this gray and green. It worked. I can basically say, all right, plates are silver. That's good. All right. So next, let's go ahead and get into the blueprint. If you don't know how to use blueprints, by the way, I do have a video. I'll link in the description below, and it'll show you how to set up a blueprint maker and how to work it. So the next thing, I'm going to clear the blueprint maker. The next thing I'm going to do is load in our rod setup. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So now, same thing, I have an even amount. The difference is here is that this smelts at 30, but rods are made at 15. So because the rods are basically double, I ended up setting up a extra set of constructors. And I don't know why the colors are off, but some of the colors look off. It's fine. I have them set up in the factory just fine, but it's fine. So anyway, let's get out of here. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to clear the blueprint maker, and I'm going to load just the rods just constructors, no smelters. All right, and then we're going to take a look at that. So now here I have an extra set of constructors that I ended up putting in front of our other constructors. So this way we have 2 lines of constructors because we're making double. And lastly, let's go ahead in one more time, clear the blueprint designer, and then we're going to load in screws. Now this also has to have an extra row, but this actually does a little more than double. So again, it's the same setup. Let's take a look. And I made these blue because they come in little blue cases, the screws. And the rods I made red and black due to the fact that the rods are black. So I can relate to the colors and the floors of each of the what I'm manufacturing. So here, same thing. I did the same exact thing. And I also set up an extra constructors row, just like I did for the rods. All right, so let's clear this blueprint maker just so it's clean. So you may be wondering how I got the ore down. As you can see, I used lifts coming down from the side of the cliff, going into the front of the building here, and then running them across the front of the building. I could have done it any way I wanted. I just liked the way that looked, running along the side of the building. So you want to set up a building like this. Now again, I don't record this because it takes me hours. So it's not hours in which the building takes time to build. It's not that bad, especially when you're blueprinting. It's the amount of time it takes me to work through building a building and how I change it quite often. And I'll start with one thing and I'll change it up, or things don't fit as well as I want them to fit, or I want them more compact, and I end up spending way more time changing it, and it takes forever. But anyway, you want to set up a building like this. So I'm going to set up, say, a foundation. I'm going to zoop this now that I figured out like pretty much the height I want to go with. And I'm going to show you. There we go. What you're going to do is you're going to go into your blueprint and say you got your blueprints here, and we're going to do a plate setup. So here's our plate setup that we actually set up. And you want to make sure it's in the right direction. So you want your smelters wherever you want your smelters, and your constructors going the way you want your constructors. So now, as you can see, sometimes this is a pain to place it. But that's okay, because you could press H. Once you press H, you're going to line this up and move this down. And if you use your page up, page down, you can pretty much get this to work. And now say we want it to come all the way back here. We kind of moved it too far. You can just use, so if you look at it, that's going the wrong way. Use your arrow keys to move it. And if you use your arrow keys, and then you could come over to here. I want it to line up with this foundation. As I can see, it's lined up with this foundation. And I'm going to click it. So as long as you have all the stuff in your inventory that you need, it will just build. It will tell you if you're missing something. So now I built these on the edge. As you can see, this is hanging over and this is hanging over. So you might want to move this in. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to make sure I could fit all my lifts within the blueprint. It's only a 4x4 blueprint. And so this way I can actually fit in exactly what I needed in the 4x4. So let's go ahead. We're going to go back to blueprints. You can now grab your plate setup. We are missing iron beams. So I'm going to have to go grab some, and I'll be right back. And then I'll show you how you can connect them up and keep them going. All right, I'm back. So let's go ahead and go into blueprints. We're going to hit plate setup, and I'm just going to find a spot here. Now you can point this at, I believe, the floor here. It's very funky sometimes. to kind of line this up. But with nudge, you can page down, page up, move back, and then we got it set up there. Just gonna look at it from the side here. That looks right, and we're gonna click it. There we go. And as you can see, they're all set up. And there's your smelter, there's your smelter. All you would do is connect up this to this and connect up your belts. That's it. Boom, boom, boom. And that's only if you want them going in the same direction. Now, obviously, you're going to want your ingots getting pushed through. All right, so here you would have your ingots getting pushed through to here. This is right here, your ingots. You're going to have to make sure you connect where your ingots are coming out of your smelters to your constructors to go in. So you would definitely want to connect this up. You could use default, you can use straight, you could use whatever works, and that works. So the smelter would smelt the ingots, get pushed through to the back of the constructors, and they would get filled with the ingots, and they would produce your iron plates. Now, to build a second floor, let's put on B a second because it's getting dark out. So if I go like this and I go vertical, then you can build up your factory. And then I would put on Zoop, and then I would add my floor this way. And then I would come to, say, here, and I'd go back into vertical, and I can make my walls that way. So that's exactly how I built my factory, pretty much. Obviously, I left more space. Now, I want to delete these blueprints. I'm going to show you how to delete blueprints. So if you press F, you have default. If you press R, you delete the blueprint. So I can delete both blueprints, but it will not delete what I put in afterwards. So these conveyor belts, I gotta go and press R again and go back into default and get rid of them. So I hope that was a good explanation about how to build a modular factory, and I'll give you a little tour of the factory. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so here's the front of the factory. I did have some tickets, so I bought the elevator. And once you get the elevator, you would find that in transportation, and you would set up your personal elevator. So you would start off with the floor you want to start off with, and then you turn the door with your scroll wheel to the spot you want to place it. Then you would go all the way up. Now, looking from the side, you want to make sure this is on the edge. What I mean by that is, let's see, do I have my ladder still here? I do not. Anyway, where the edge of the floor is, let's come over to this side. You'll see that this stops at different floors like this, and you're gonna want to make sure it's right on that edge. So like that. Now, obviously I'm out too far because I wanted to show you, but if I climb up here, whoops, let's go up, up, and up. Right here would be the door, and you could spin this door to match the other side. So like on this one, I actually, let's get rid of this a second, and I'll show you. Let's go into elevators. I'm going to put it down again, right there. And you can see the elevator door is pointed the way we want it. Now the top one isn't, so I can spin that around and put it on the inside, the outside, to either of the sides, and that would work to get that. Now, say I wanted it, say, right there. I want to add an extra floor because now it only does it on the bottom and the top. So now what I can do is I can press Q and put a floor anywhere I want. So here I could put another floor there. So that's how to set up an elevator in your game. So let's go into the first floor. This is our plates. All right, because our belts only carry 270, I only set up 10 to do 300. It's a little bit slower, but it's not a big deal. And I do have all these plates going up to make reinforced plates, and then some coming into here to save us some plates here. So we have 3 storage containers here, but it does get split, as you can see, right here. So we have it coming in and the rest are going up to the top where we're making some reinforced plates. But this is pretty simple. And this part of it, this is pretty small. So with that, I have a lot of extra space over in this area. Now these had to come out more because we needed the extra constructors. So let's go ahead and go to the next floor. Sometimes the elevator could take a really long time, but it's fine. So I also, let's show you in the elevator here. If you don't go on these buttons and go all the way down here, and then you can edit the floor information. So when you do that, I have iron plates, and if you click edit, you can name it whatever you want. You could select an icon, you could select a color, and this way I can match it to everything that I have. So right now I have the iron plates as gray, the rods as red, the screws as blue, and the reinforced plates and rotors as white. And that is because it is color coded to the machines. So let's go up to red. Now the reason why, now if you want to press a button to a floor, just hover over the button and press E. So now I painted this door red and black, and because I didn't make it black because it doesn't show up on the elevator, I made it red. But anyway, let's get up and show you here. So here, these are half. So it's 30, 15, and 15. So I'm smelting 30 ingots and I'm making 15 and 15 rods. So these are even numbers and they're just basically in front of the other one. So it's double. Now if I come down here, this is what I wanted to show you. I have the ingots swinging into here and manifolding this way. And then we'll come out over here and they manifold back to the back constructors over here. And the rods, I have them coming up and going into making rotors. And the other ones here I have coming into a storage container and going to a second storage container. Now I did break this up a little bit and it works. So just the back half is going up to the rotors and the front half is going into storage containers. I hope I'm being clear, but if I'm not, please leave it in the comments below and I'll try to explain myself better in the next episode. Alright, let's go to the screws. As you can see, I painted the door blue with the yellow and that works. And as you can see, these are offset from the ones up front and that should not be black. That should be a white floor. There we go. So the screws produce a little bit slower than the rods. The rods are 15, the screws are 12. So basically for every 10 smelters, I have 24 constructors. So I put one extra on each end. So we have 10 smelters and 24 constructors. And these are even way more complicated as far as how I'm splitting them. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are going up to here, as well as the ones in back. And that is because, well, in this one, so don't mind that. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going that way to do the reinforced plates, I believe. Yeah. And then over here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus the back ones going up to here to do rotors. So you can split it up any way you want. I just happen to split it up that way. And that is why I kind of have these extra, this open right here. So I can move these up and down. All right, so here we are outside. And all this is foundations. I used no walls whatsoever. And because I wanted this to sit out a little bit, I decided to use some of these ramps up in here. These are just foundations, the 4mm. These are 1mm. 1 meter. 1 meter? 1 meter. I think so. And then I glassed around it. So how this is modular is I can delete this and extend this building out and continue to build off of it as much as I want. So until we get to Mark 4 belts, then it's worthless. So right now, this is just the setup we have. And what I like to do is when I'm building, I'll start off with like a rectangle or a square. And then when I figure out my needs, I end up expanding. Like here, I built the bottom. Let's get back into this again. I built the bottom with the plates, and then I went, oh man, I need to make wider because these guys, I need an extra row of constructors. So I was going to back this up and make it smaller and just pop out, but then I didn't like the way it looked as far as aesthetically. So I decided to just bump out the bottom half and yeah, leave it like that, and it worked. And it just gives a little more interest to the building. Same with the elevator. I decided to put the elevator on the outside of the building. Inside the building, I have these black foundations on the inside, right in here. And I wanted a little more room up in here. It was necessary for some of the things I needed. And so I decided to bump it out. And again, it adds more interest. It's not flat and it looks better. Again, using the bottom here, we use these ramps and inverted ramps. They kind of give a lot more interest to the building. It's not flat and it gives an angle to it and it just looks pretty nice, I think. So yeah, if you want more of a tutorial on how to build a building with foundations, let me know and I will definitely show you step by step. So another thing I want to mention is the way I ran my power. I opened up those big power towers now, and that made it easier to run electric from our coal and our biomass over there setup. Over here, we were able to pass these through with these Mark II power junctions. So you want to use these wall outlets here. And if you put one, say, on this side of the wall and one on the other, I say wall, it's a foundation. If you put one of these on this side of the foundation and the other side of the foundation, and then all you have to do is press 2, you could pass it through the foundation and it looks like it goes through the wall and you don't even notice it. So that's going to conclude today's episode. If you enjoyed, please consider giving me a like, subscribe, comment, share, do all those good things. I also wanted to say that I have a playlist for the best start. So if you want to binge watch some of that and go from the beginning, feel free. And I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Don't forget to check out the blueprints video if you need some help with some blueprints. And I'll see you next time. Thank you again so much for watching. Bye.